Ambassador Marcus Webb stood in the center of the Galactic Council chamber, trying very hard not to look like he wanted to strangle someone with his own tie. Around him, in a perfect circle of architectural pretension, sat representatives from 47 different species, each perched on platforms designed to showcase their supposed evolutionary superiority. High Arbiter Velcron, a being who looked like someone had given a praying mantis a law degree and an superiority complex, leaned forward on his crystalline throne. Let me understand your proposal correctly. Ambassador Webb, humanity wishes to join the Galactic Council after barely 2 decades of faster-than-light capability. And you come bearing warnings of an existential threat from the Outer Rim? Marcus adjusted his tablet, keeping his expression diplomatically neutral. That's correct, High Arbiter. Our deep space monitoring stations have detected anomalous energy signatures consistent with a massive fleet movement. Based on our analysis, this force will reach Council space within 4 months. We believe cooperation is essential for survival. The chamber erupted in what Marcus had learned to recognize as alien laughter. It sounded like someone was torturing a synthesizer. Diplomat Corvex of the Corvani, who resembled a floating jellyfish wearing too much jewelry, pulsed with condescending colors. How utterly precious. The humans, who still use chemical propulsion for planetary launches, believe they have detected something our sensor networks missed. Our surveillance systems have been operating for 12,000 years while your species was still living in caves. We were building pyramids, actually, Marcus muttered, but nobody was listening. General Threxner, whose species looked like someone had crossed a bear with a spaceship and given it anger management issues, slammed a massive claw on his console. The Threxian Armada patrols the Outer Rim. Nothing enters Council space without our knowledge. Your sensor ghosts are likely just stellar radiation. Perhaps humans should focus on basic stellar cartography before making threat assessments. Marcus took a deep breath. With respect, General, we've verified these readings across multiple stations. The energy signatures are consistent with gravitic drives on a scale we've never seen. Whatever's coming, it's big, it's fast, and it's heading straight for the Council's core worlds. Velcron made us sound like wind chimes having an existential crisis. Ambassador Webb, the Council appreciates your enthusiasm, but perhaps humanity's time would be better spent reaching our minimum technological standards before seeking membership. Your warnings, while noted, are clearly the result of inexperienced sensor operators and paranoid pattern recognition. The Outer Rim has been peaceful for 6 centuries. Right up until it isn't, Marcus said, his diplomatic smile getting sharper. Look, I've brought all our data. I'm asking you to at least review it. We shall add it to our files, Velcron said, which was politician speak for into the trash it goes. He gestured with one of his many limbs. The Council votes on humanity's membership application. All in favor of granting Earth provisional membership? Silence. Not even the awkward kind. Just the regular kind that said nobody was even pretending to consider it. All opposed? A forest of appendages, tentacles, and pseudopods rose into the air. The motion fails unanimously, Velcron announced with barely concealed satisfaction. Humanity's application is rejected. You may reapply in 50 standard years, assuming you survive whatever sensor ghosts you've conjured. This session is adjourned. Marcus gathered his materials slowly, deliberately, making eye contact with each council member who'd look at him. Most didn't. You know what the worst part about being right is? He said to the chamber at large. Having to watch everyone else figure it out the hard way. He walked toward the exit, footsteps echoing in the massive hall. Just before leaving, he turned back. When that fleet arrives, and believe me it will, you're going to wish you'd listened to the paranoid primitives. We'll see if your 12,000 years of sensor technology helps when something is literally eating your planets. The doors sealed behind him with a hiss that sounded suspiciously like laughter. In the chamber, Velcron turned to Corvex. Such drama. Humans are far too emotional for council membership. Indeed, Corvex pulsed smugly. Imagine thinking they could detect what our systems cannot. The audacity of youth. They would remember those words. In about 3 months, they would remember them very, very well. 3 months and 4 days after the Council's unanimous rejection of humanity's application, the Corvani homeworld of Corvexia disappeared from all communication networks. At first, the Council assumed it was a technical malfunction. The Corvani were always tinkering with their communication arrays, trying to achieve even higher levels of bandwidth that nobody actually needed. But when the automated trade ships started returning with no cargo and sensor logs showing nothing but debris fields, people started paying attention. High Arbiter Velkron called an emergency session. We've lost contact with the entire Corvani system. Their defensive fleet, all 17 orbital habitats, and approximately 12 billion citizens. Gone in less than 6 hours. The council chamber, usually full of pompous declarations and bureaucratic posturing, fell absolutely silent. Our last transmission from Fleet Admiral Corvex was fragmented, Velkron continued, his voice lacking its usual condescension. I'll play it now. The recording crackled to life. Corvex's voice, normally dripping with superiority, now carried pure terror. They're not ships, they're constructs. Massive living machines that consume everything. Shields are useless, weapons barely slow them down, they're everywhere. They're in the station, they're in the, ancestors, they're static. Diplomat Rixal of the Zentari, a species that looked like crystallized thought-given form, spoke carefully. The energy signatures matched the data the humans provided. We're not discussing the humans right now, Velkron snapped. Perhaps we should be, General Threxner growled. Because whatever destroyed Corvexia is now heading toward my patrol lines in the Outer Rim, and my ships are reporting the same kind of contacts, hundreds of them. Big ones. Over the next 48 hours, the Galactic Council learned a harsh lesson in humility. The Threxian Armada, 200 warships representing the finest military technology the galaxy had produced over millennia, engaged the Devourer fleet at the Kepler Junction. The battle lasted 2 days. The Threxians managed to destroy exactly 3 of the enemy constructs. The Devourers destroyed the entire Threxian Armada, consumed 2 colonies, and kept advancing without slowing down. General Threxner, now broadcasting from a refugee ship instead of his flagship, addressed the council with none of his previous swagger. They adapt to our weapons within minutes. Energy shields mean nothing to them. They phase through defensive barriers like they're not even there. Our plasma cannons might as well be throwing rocks. These things eat matter and energy equally. They're not conquering us. They're processing us. 3 more systems fell in the following week. The Zentari threw their entire quantum fleet at the Devourers. The battle was over in 9 hours. The Mirachi deployed their legendary reality-warping dreadnoughts. 12 hours. The Coluvian Collective tried to negotiate. The Devourers consumed their diplomatic vessel mid-transmission. The galaxy was losing badly, and everyone knew it. Velkron sat alone in his private chamber, staring at a data pad showing casualty estimates that kept climbing. 47 billion dead, 322 worlds under attack. 8 council species on the brink of extinction. His assistant, a younger Corvani who'd survived the homeworld's destruction by sheer luck, entered quietly. High Arbiter, the council is demanding you make a decision. We've exhausted every conventional option. Our best projections show complete galactic collapse within 2 months. Velkron's mandibles clicked in what his species used as a sigh. Bring up the human contact information, sir? The humans. The paranoid primitives who warned us about this exact scenario. Get me Ambassador Webb's direct channel. Are you certain? After we rejected them so completely? Velkron made a sound like grinding metal. Do you have a better idea? Because I'm fresh out of pride and running low on time. Give me the humans. And someone draft an apology that doesn't make me sound as pathetic as I currently feel. The assistant paused at the door. Sir, what if they refuse to help? Then we die knowing we were too stupid to listen when we had the chance. Now go. 10 minutes later, Velkron's screen flickered to life showing Ambassador Marcus Webb, who looked entirely too well rested for someone whose warnings had just been catastrophically validated. High Arbiter, Marcus said pleasantly. I assume this isn't about reconsidering our membership application? Velkron wanted to crawl into a hole. Ambassador Webb, on behalf of the Galactic Council, I must formally request humanitarian assistance from Earth in dealing with the Outer Rim crisis. The crisis we warned you about? Yes. The one you called sensor ghosts and paranoid pattern recognition? Also yes. Marcus leaned back in his chair, expression unreadable. Well, this is awkward. Give me a few hours to discuss this with our leadership. I'll get back to you shortly. The screen went dark. Velkron slumped in his seat, a position his species adopted approximately once per lifetime. They were going to help. They had to help. Because if the humans said no, the galaxy was finished. And honestly, after how the council had treated them, he wouldn't blame them for letting everyone burn. Marcus Webb sat in the secure conference room on Earth's orbital station, surrounded by holographic projections of humanity's defense leadership. To his left, General Rita Kowalski looked like she'd been carved from granite and attitude. To his right, Admiral James Park was grinning like someone had just handed him the universe's best present. "So let me get this straight," General Kowalski said, pulling up the casualty reports. "These pompous jellyfish rejected our application, called us primitive, ignored our warnings, and now they want us to save them from the exact threat we specifically told them was coming." "That's the summary, yes," Marcus confirmed. Admiral Park laughed so hard he had to wipe his eyes. "Oh, this is beautiful. This is poetry. Did you see Velcron's face when he had to ask for help?" "I'm having that image framed. We should help them," said Dr. Chun Martinez, Earth's chief xenobiologist, who appeared via hologram. "People are dying. Obviously we're going to help them," Kowalski said. "But we're not going to make it easy. We've got leverage here, people. We can rewrite the entire galactic power structure." Marcus pulled up a document he'd been drafting. "I've prepared a list of conditions for our assistance. I may have gotten creative." He shared it to everyone's screens. The silence that followed was beautiful. Park spoke first. "You want them to issue a public apology broadcast across all Council worlds? Seems fair. You want full technology sharing agreements with no restrictions? They've been hoarding their tech for centuries. Time to share." Kowalski scrolled down, eyebrows climbing higher. "Open border policies with Earth? Permanent Council membership with full voting rights? A formal defense treaty acknowledging humanity as a military peer? Also fair." "Marcus," Park said with genuine admiration, "you want them to rename the central hub station to Humanity Was Right Station? That one's negotiable." "I'll settle for a plaque," Dr. Martinez groaned. "You're going to give Velcron an aneurysm. He's a mantis. I don't think they have the right anatomy for aneurysms. But yes, that's the hope." The group reviewed the conditions for another hour, adding a few choice items including preferential trade agreements, access to restricted space lanes, and a formal acknowledgement that humanity's sensor technology was, quote, "pretty damn good actually." "They'll never accept all this," Martinez warned. Kowalski shrugged. "Their entire civilization is being consumed by space locusts. They'll accept whatever we demand. The only question is how much we can squeeze out of them before our collective conscience makes us feel bad." "I stopped feeling bad around the time they called us too emotional for Council membership," Marcus said. He opened a communication channel. "Hi, Arbiter. I have Earth's response to your request." Velcron appeared on screen, looking like he'd aged several decades in a few hours. "Ambassador Webb, I hope you have positive news." "We do. Humanity is willing to provide military assistance against the Devourer threat. However, we have certain conditions that must be met before we deploy our forces." "Of course. Reasonable compensation for your assistance." "Oh, this goes way beyond compensation." Marcus shared the document. "These are our non-negotiable terms." Velcron's mandibles started clicking as he read, the sound getting faster and more panicked with each line. "This is, Ambassador, you're essentially demanding full Council membership, complete technological parity, and public humiliation of the Council leadership." "Public acknowledgement of error," Marcus corrected. "There's a difference." "Also, yes. This is extortion. This is consequence. You can accept our terms and have a chance at survival, or you can maintain your pride and watch your civilization get turned into organic slurry." "Your call, High Arbiter." Park leaned into frame. "We've been preparing for this fight since we first detected the Devourers. We've got ships ready, tactics developed, and soldiers eager to prove that primitive humans can handle problems your advanced species cannot. But we need to know you're serious about respecting us as equals." Velcron looked at something off-screen. "Probably more casualty reports." His shoulders sagged. "If I agree to these terms and we survive, the Council will despise me forever." "But they'll be alive to despise you," Marcus pointed out. "That's better than the alternative." Silence stretched for a long moment. Finally, Velcron made a sound like a door closing. "Very well, Earth's terms are accepted in full. We'll begin broadcasting the formal apology within the hour and implement all other conditions immediately. How soon can your forces deploy?" Kowalski leaned forward with a predatory smile. "General, our fleet has been in position at the edge of your space for the last 3 days. We just needed to know you were serious. We'll be at Quixnar, your next likely target, within 6 hours. You've been waiting in our space for 3 days? Velcron's voice cracked. Yep, figured you'd call eventually. We're punctual like that. Marcus stood up. One more thing, High Arbiter. When this is over and we've saved your civilization, remember this moment. Remember how it felt to need the paranoid primitives. Because humanity has a long memory and we petty enough to bring this up at every single council meeting for the next 1,000 years. I don't doubt it, Velcron said quietly. The screen went dark. Admiral Park raised his coffee mug. Gentlemen, ladies, let's go save some ungrateful aliens and completely restructure galactic politics. I love my job. Move our forces to combat positions, Kowalski ordered. And someone make sure every ship has their black boxes recording. I want complete documentation of how humanity saves the galaxy. For posterity and for rubbing it in later, Marcus gathered his materials, allowing himself a small smile. Time to show the galaxy what primitive thinking can accomplish. This is going to be fun. The human fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Krixnar system like a swarm of angry hornets with a collective chip on their shoulder. 52 warships compared to the hundreds the other species had fielded. But General Kowalski wasn't counting on overwhelming numbers. She was counting on the galaxy's complete lack of imagination. All ships, this is Kowalski. Remember, these things have adapted to every energy weapon the Council has thrown at them. Shields don't work, plasma doesn't work. Quantum torpedoes definitely don't work, so we're going old school. Really old school. Embarrassingly old school. Admiral Park's voice came through from the flagship Indomitable. The Devourers are engaging the Krixnar defense fleet. Looks like they're doing about as well as everyone else, which is to say, not at all. We've got maybe 30 minutes before the planet's orbit is completely overrun. Plenty of time. All ships, load kinetic rounds and prepare for combat approach. Let's introduce these things to Sir Isaac Newton. The watching Council fleet, hovering at a safe distance after their own failed engagement, received the human tactical broadcast. Commander Zixal of the remaining Xanthari forces opened a channel. General Kowalski, your ships appear to be loading solid projectiles. Are your energy weapons malfunctioning? Nope. Working exactly as intended, which is to say we're not using them. You're attacking with kinetic weapons? Those haven't been used in frontline combat for 3,000 years. The Devourer's armor can withstand direct nuclear detonations. Can it withstand a tungsten rod traveling at 40% light speed? Kowalski asked cheerfully, because we're about to find out. All ships, fire when ready. The human fleet opened up, and the Devourers learned a valuable lesson about physics. Specifically, that momentum equals mass times velocity, and when you accelerate something dense enough fast enough, shield technology becomes a polite suggestion, rather than a rule. The first salvo of railgun rounds punched through 3 Devourer constructs, like they were made of tissue paper. The aliens had designed their defenses around energy dispersion and quantum field manipulation. Nobody had bothered preparing for someone just throwing really heavy things really fast. Target destroyed, Park reported with audible glee. Their shields didn't even activate. I don't think they recognized the attack as a threat until the projectile was already inside them. Confirmed across all targets, Kowalski said. These things have been adapting to energy weapons for centuries. They've got nothing for good old-fashioned kinetic murder. All ships switched to missile swarms. The Council observers watched in stunned silence as humanity deployed weapons they'd abandoned millennia ago. Missiles with chemical propulsion and nuclear warheads swarmed toward the Devourer fleet in clouds of hundreds. Commander Zixal contacted them again. General, nuclear weapons have been ineffective against their armor. That's because everyone's been using them wrong, Kowalski replied. You hit them with nukes from the outside, trying to vaporize the armor. We're hitting them with kinetic penetrators, first to punch holes, then filling those holes with nuclear fire. It's called combined arms tactics. And we learned it approximately 5,000 years ago. The missiles struck in sequence. Kinetic penetrators first, boring through the Devourer construct's outer layers. Then nuclear warheads detonating inside the wounds, turning the creature's internal structures into plasma. 8 more Devourers went dark in rapid succession. This is impossible, someone from the Council fleet transmitted. You're destroying them with weapons we considered obsolete before your species discovered fire. That's the thing about obsolete weapons, Park said, his ship executing a maneuver that would have made a fighter pilot weep with joy. They're only obsolete if everyone knows how to counter them. These things have never seen kinetic warfare. They're defenseless. The human fleet moved through the Devourer formation like sharks through a school of fish. Railguns fired continuously, turning the battlefield into a shooting gallery. When the Devourers tried to adapt and close to melee range, the humans simply accelerated away, using superior maneuverability to maintain optimal firing distance. They're trying to learn our attack pattern, Park warned. Some of them are starting to evade. Then let's teach them another old Earth tradition, Kowalski said. All ships, prepare for ramming maneuvers. Load the drones. Did she just say ramming? Commander Zixal sounded horrified. The human fleet released hundreds of small drones, each loaded with chemical explosives and programmed with one simple instruction: get close and detonate. The Devourers, having learned to dodge the larger kinetic rounds, completely ignored the smaller craft. Mistake. The drones accelerated to ramming speed and detonated on contact, not powerful enough to destroy the constructs, but definitely powerful enough to damage sensors, weapons, and maneuvering thrusters. Blinded and crippled, the Devourers became easy targets for the human fleet's main guns. Physics doesn't care about your tech tree, Kowalski announced to the galaxy at large. Newton's laws work the same whether you're throwing rocks or accelerating tungsten to relativistic speeds. The only difference is the crater size. A massive Devourer construct, easily 3 times the size of anything they'd encountered, emerged from behind Krixnar's moon. Park whistled. That's new. Looks like a command ship. Perfect. All ships, target that thing. And someone get me a firing solution on that asteroid cluster near its position. General, those asteroids are nowhere near the command ship. They are now. Helm, attach engines to the 3 largest rocks and point them at that ship. We're going to demonstrate another ancient human military tradition: overwhelming firepower and creative problem-solving. The Council fleet watched in complete bewilderment as human engineering ships approached. The asteroid cluster attached massive engines and began accelerating 3-kilometer-wide rocks toward the Devourer command ship. They're weaponizing asteroids, Commander Zixal whispered. They're literally turning natural celestial bodies into kinetic kill vehicles. We prefer to think of it as aggressive recycling, Kowalski said. Impact in 90 seconds. The Devourer command ship tried to evade, but something that massive couldn't accelerate fast enough. The first asteroid clipped its flank, sending it spinning. The second struck dead center, crushing its midsection. The third was overkill, but humanity had never been accused of doing things halfway. The battlefield fell silent except for the debris field that used to be the Devourer command vessel. All targets neutralized, Park reported. Krixnar is secure. Total human casualties 0. Total hull damage negligible. Total ammunition expended approximately 12% of available ordnance. General Kowalski opened a channel to the Council fleet. Commander Zixal, you and your people might want to take notes. This is what happens when you remember that the best technology is the one that actually works. We'll be moving to the next engagement zone shortly. Try to keep up. In the Council fleet, Zixal stared at the tactical display showing the complete destruction of a Devourer force that had annihilated 3 advanced fleets. Destroyed by humans using weapons his people had stopped using before Earth had developed agriculture. Give me High Arbiter Velkron, he said quietly. He needs to know that we've been doing war wrong for the last 3,000 years, and the humans have been doing it right since they lived in caves. 2 weeks into humanity's intervention, the Devourer threat had gone from existential crisis to manageable problem. Human fleets, using weapons the galaxy had forgotten and tactics nobody had considered, were pushing the invaders back system by system. The Council was grateful, embarrassed, and more than a little terrified of their new allies. In Earth's mobile command center, Admiral Park studied a holographic display of the Devourer fleet's movements. They're retreating toward the Zarian Nebula. Long-range sensors show their primary hive ship hiding in the dust clouds. That's their command and control center. Take it out, and the rest of the fleet loses coordination. General Kowalski leaned back in her chair. How big are we talking? Approximately 400 kilometers in diameter. It's essentially a mobile planet covered in weapons, and filled with billions of individual Devourer organisms. Every Council species has tried to assault it. None succeeded. What did they try? Everything. Antimatter bombs, quantum disruptors, reality anchors, temporal weapons. The hive ship's shields adapted to everything, and its internal structure regenerates faster than conventional weapons can damage it. Marcus Webb, who'd been sitting quietly in the corner, spoke up. What about unconventional weapons? Park grinned. I was hoping you'd ask. I have a plan. It's stupid, it's excessive, and it violates approximately 17 galactic warfare conventions. My favorite kind of plan, Kowalski said. Let's hear it. Park pulled up a star map. There's a small moon in the Zarian system. Rocky, dense, about 1,500 kilometers in diameter. Nothing special about it except its current trajectory brings it relatively close to the nebula. Kowalski's eyes lit up. You want to strap engines to a moon. I want to strap the biggest engines humanity has ever built to a moon, accelerate it to absolutely unreasonable speeds, and turn the Devourer hive ship into the galaxy's largest impact crater. Marcus started laughing. You're going to kill their command ship by throwing a moon at it. That's the most human solution possible. Physics still doesn't care about tech levels, Park said. Their shields can adapt to energy weapons all day long. Let's see them adapt to several quintillion tons of rock moving at a significant fraction of light speed. We'll call it Operation Spite. I love it, Kowalski said. Make it happen. How long until the moon is in position? Engineering estimates 48 hours to attach the engines and plot the trajectory. Then another 20 hours of acceleration. We'll time it to coincide with a direct assault on the hive ship. Keep them distracted while we're literally dropping a moon on their heads. The plan was insane, excessive, and completely unnecessary given that conventional bombardment would probably work eventually. It was also exactly the kind of disproportionate response that humanity specialized in. 48 hours later, the human fleet assembled near the Zarian Nebula. The moon, now bristling with fusion engines and guidance systems, began its acceleration run. On the hive ship, the Devourers detected the approaching rock and promptly ignored it as debris. All ships, this is Admiral Park. We're going to demonstrate a technique we call aggressive boarding actions. Remember, these things have never faced close-quarters combat because everyone else relies on ship-to-ship weapons. We're going old-fashioned. Marines, you're up. 200 boarding pods launched from the human fleet, accelerating toward the hive ship at speeds that would have liquefied most species. Inside each pod, human soldiers in powered armor checked their weapons, chemical propellant firearms, high explosive charges, and combat knives that one soldier had helpfully etched with the phrase, "Surprise." We brought pointy sticks. The pods smashed through the hive ship's outer hull, which was designed to deflect energy weapons but had no defense against someone just crashing through it at terminal velocity. Inside, the Devourers encountered something they'd never faced before: angry humans in confined spaces. Corporal Martinez kicked open her pod door and immediately opened fire. The Devourers, used to long-range space combat, had no idea how to handle someone shooting them with bullets from 10 meters away. Contact left, contact right, these things are everywhere. Then shoot everywhere, her sergeant yelled back. Remember the briefing. They've never seen infantry combat. They don't know how to fight in corridors, it was true. The Devourers had evolved their tactics around consuming ships and planets. They'd never needed to learn how to clear a room or hold a defensive position. Humans had been perfecting those skills since someone invented the first wall. The boarding parties carved through the hive ship's interior with methodical efficiency. Explosives opened new passages. Flamethrowers cleared organic growth. And when weapons ran out, which happened more often than anyone wanted to admit, humans discovered that devourer organisms were surprisingly vulnerable to being hit with blunt objects very hard. On the bridge of the Indomitable, Park monitored both the boarding action and the moon's approach. To -5 minutes to impact. All boarding parties, you need to get out of there. Negative, Sergeant Kim responded from deep inside the hive ship. We found what looks like their main neural nexus. Give us 3 more minutes. You have 2. Then I'm pulling you out whether you're done or not. The boarding teams placed enough explosives around the neural nexus to make a demolition expert weep with joy, then sprinted for their extraction pods. Behind them, the Devourers finally figured out what was happening and gave chase, only to discover that humans were really good at running away from explosions. The last pod cleared the hive ship with 30 seconds to spare. Park opened fleet-wide communications. All ships, pull back to minimum safe distance. This is going to be spectacular. The moon, now traveling at 12% of light speed and massing more than some small planets, struck the Devourer hive ship exactly as planned. The impact released energy equivalent to several 100 million nuclear weapons detonating simultaneously. The hive ship, which had withstood every weapon the galaxy could throw at it, simply ceased to exist. One moment it was there, a massive structure of biological horror and adaptive technology. The next moment, there was an expanding sphere of superheated plasma and debris. The shockwave rippled across the Zarian Nebula, visible from 3 systems away. Commander Zixal, watching from the Council observation fleet, opened the channel. Admiral Park, did you just destroy the Devourer command ship by hitting it with a moon? Yes. That's the most ridiculous tactical solution I've ever witnessed. Did it work? Yes, but then it's not ridiculous, it's effective. Stand by. We're tracking the remaining Devourer forces. Across the battlefield, the Devourer fleet began behaving erratically. Without their command ship's coordination, the individual constructs reverted to basic instincts. Some tried to flee, some attacked each other. Most just drifted, waiting for orders that would never come. The human fleet moved through them methodically, destroying or disabling each construct. Within 6 hours, the Devourer presence in Council space had been reduced to scattered remnants fleeing toward the galactic rim. General Kowalski sent a message to the Council. High Arbiter Velkron, this is General Kowalski. The Devourer threat has been neutralized. Your space is secure. We'll maintain patrols for the next month to handle any stragglers, but the crisis is over. You're welcome. On the Council flagship, Velkron stared at the tactical displays showing humanity's complete victory over a threat that had nearly destroyed galactic civilization. They'd done it in 3 weeks using weapons the Council considered primitive and tactics nobody had thought to try. Get me Ambassador Webb, Velkron said quietly. We need to discuss humanity's permanent seat on the Council. And someone draft a formal apology that actually sounds sincere, because we're going to be saying sorry for a very long time. 1 month after the Devourer crisis ended, the Galactic Council chamber looked exactly the same architecturally but felt completely different politically. A new platform had been added to the circle, positioned prominently between the High Arbiter and the Military Command section. On it sat Ambassador Marcus Webb, wearing his dress uniform and an expression of professional satisfaction. High Arbiter Velkron stood at the center of the chamber, looking like someone had forced him to eat a lemon soaked in humility. The Council recognizes Ambassador Marcus Webb of Earth as a full member with complete voting rights, trade privileges, and military authority. This membership is granted in recognition of humanity's valor, tactical brilliance, and the objective fact that they saved all of our lives when we were too arrogant to save ourselves. The chamber remained silent. Nobody applauded, but nobody objected either. They'd all seen the casualty reports and the comparison between Council military effectiveness and humanity's results. Furthermore, Velkron continued, each word clearly causing him physical pain, the Council issues a formal apology to Earth for dismissing their warnings, rejecting their membership application, and generally treating them with unjustified condescension. The humans were right. We were wrong. History will remember this, and we deserve whatever mockery results. Marcus stood. The apology is accepted, High Arbiter. Earth looks forward to working with all Council species as equals and partners. We bring unique perspectives to galactic challenges, as recent events have demonstrated. Unique is certainly one word for it, muttered Commander Zixal from this platform. The formal ceremony concluded, and the Council moved to regular business. Immediately, 3 different species requested human military advisors. 5 more wanted technology sharing agreements for kinetic weapon systems. The Threxians, whose entire military doctrine had been shredded by the Devourers, requested a complete strategic review by human commanders. General Kowalski attended via hologram, looking bemused. You want us to redesign your entire military from scratch? General Threxner, who'd lost his flagship and most of his pride during the crisis, nodded heavily. Our weapons didn't work. Our tactics didn't work. Our strategies didn't work. Human weapons worked. Human tactics worked. We're not too proud to learn anymore. Pride nearly killed us. That might be the wisest thing anyone said in this chamber in decades, Marcus observed. Over the following weeks, humanity's position in galactic society shifted from cosmic punchline to indispensable partner. Human engineers taught alien species about kinetic weapons design. Human soldiers trained alien forces in close-quarters combat. Human strategists introduced concepts like combined arms warfare, defensive depth, and the ancient art of hitting your problems until they stopped being problems. The galaxy discovered that humanity had been preparing for existential threats since they'd invented civilization. While other species had evolved past warfare, humans had simply gotten better at it. Every conflict in human history, every tactical innovation born from necessity, every weapon developed because someone needed to solve a problem with extreme prejudice, all of it had prepared Earth for the moment the galaxy needed saving. Dr. Chen Martinez gave a presentation to the Xenobiology Council about human military history. The aliens listened in growing horror as she described thousands of years of continuous warfare, technological innovation driven by conflict, and a species that had literally split atoms because they wanted bigger bombs. "You've been fighting each other for your entire history?" asked a Mirachi scholar. "That's horrifying. It's also why we're really, really good at it," Martinez replied. "When the Devourers showed up, you had to remember how to fight. We just had to decide who to fight for. Turns out, we're more effective when we're on the same side." The hub station formally changed its name to Humanity Was Right Station, in a ceremony that Velcron attended with visible resignation. Marcus had the first plaque mounted in his office. It read, "In memory of the time the galaxy learned that sometimes the paranoid primitives are paranoid for good reason." 3 months after the crisis, Marcus sat in his new council office reviewing requests for assistance. Earth had become the go-to species for impossible problems. Pirate infestation nobody could handle? Send the humans? Ancient war machine reactivated? Call Earth. Diplomatic crisis turning violent? Get someone who understands conflict resolution through superior firepower. His communicator buzzed. Velcron's face appeared, looking tired. "Ambassador Webb, we have a situation." "What kind of situation?" "The Coluvian Collective attempted to reactivate an ancient planetary defense system. It worked too well. The system is now targeting the entire sector and won't accept shutdown commands. Conventional weapons are ineffective, and the system is powered by stellar energy, so it can maintain operations indefinitely." Marcus leaned back, sighing. "Let me guess. You need humanity to solve another problem that you couldn't?" In our defense, this one wasn't arrogance. It was simple stupidity. Fair enough. "I'll mobilize Admiral Park. What's our budget for creative solutions?" "Unlimited. Just make it stop shooting at us. We'll handle it." Park's been wanting to try something with gravity well manipulation. This should be entertaining. Marcus paused. "Hi, Arbiter, can I ask you something?" "Of course. Does it bother you that humanity turned out to be better at solving galactic crises than species who've been spacefaring for millennia?" Velcron was quiet for a moment. "Initially, yes. It was humiliating. We'd spent centuries believing we'd evolved beyond humanity's barbarism. But I've realized something. You didn't evolve past conflict. You evolved through it. Every challenge your species faced made you more adaptable, more creative, more willing to try absurd solutions because conventional wisdom had failed you before. We became peaceful through prosperity. You became capable through adversity. When real danger arrived, we had forgotten how to fight. You'd never stopped learning. That's remarkably insightful. I've had time to think, while watching humans strap engines to celestial bodies and weaponize physics itself. Your species is terrifying, Ambassador Webb, but I'm grateful you're on our side. We're on civilization's side, Marcus corrected. Which now includes everyone, even the pompous ones who rejected us. We'll never live that down, will we? Not in 1,000 years. But we'll save you again anyway. That's what partners do. Marcus ended the call and opened a channel to Admiral Park. "James, we've got another situation. Some idiots activated a defense system that won't turn off." "Excellent. I've been bored. What's the solution?" "Haven't figured that out yet. But I'm confident it'll involve either throwing something at the problem or blowing something up in a creative manner. Those are our 2 best strategies. I'll prep the fleet." "Should I bring the moon engines?" "Always bring the moon engines. You never know when you'll need to relocate a celestial body." Marcus closed the communication and looked out at Earth from his station window. Humanity had spent its entire existence being underestimated. Too primitive, too violent, too emotional, too aggressive. And when the galaxy needed saving, all those supposed weaknesses had become strengths. The stars had mocked humanity's warnings. Now they whispered Earth's name with respect, fear, and the grudging admission that sometimes the new kids on the galactic block knew exactly what they were talking about. His communicator buzzed again. "Another crisis, another impossible problem. Another chance for humanity to demonstrate that primitive thinking combined with advanced technology was the most dangerous combination in the galaxy. Marcus smiled and answered the call. Ambassador Webb speaking. What did you idiots do now? And somewhere in the council chamber, Velcron heard the transmission and made a sound like wind chimes, sighing in resignation. This was life now. Humans solving problems, humans judging the stakes, and humans reminding everyone at every opportunity that they'd tried to warn everyone. The galaxy would survive. It would adapt. It would prosper. It just had to accept that the species running the show now were the ones who'd been too stubborn to stop preparing for the worst. Because humanity hadn't saved civilization in spite of being primitive. They'd saved it because being primitive meant never forgetting that the universe was dangerous. Solutions weren't always elegant, and sometimes the best response to an existential threat was hitting it with a moon until it stopped moving. The stars would remember, the council would remember, and humanity would never, ever let them forget.